Hello, I'm Micks Mowers, the Merman, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I've got this nice little Titan in. To be fair, it's not done a great deal of work at all. But the problem with this particular machine is it will start on choke. As soon as you try and hit the revs, as soon as you try and do it, take it off a choke, it just dies out. Let me just show it to you now. Let's give it a few pumps. There's fresh fuel in there. I reckon about 6 or 7 pumps on these Titans. We're going to choke it, cold start, turn it on. That's about it. So I put it onto half choke as it fired. And that is all we're getting out of this machine. Nothing more, nothing less. So now it's not even doing that. I didn't run him for about 40 seconds yesterday. So if your machine, your Titan strimmer is doing that, then I have a good fix for you. Normally, 9 times out of 10, I would investigate the carburetor and clean the carb out. But on Amazon, you can pick up an 11mm, it has to be 11mm throat carburetor for about 9 quid. That's cheap, right? So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to change this carburetor out. I will keep the old carburetor, clean it, put your diaphragm and gasket in and get it up and running, no problem at all. But I want to show you guys and girls, if you're not very mechanically minded in regards to cleaning your carburetors, you can just swap the carburetor right out. So if this is your first time watching Micks Mowers and Merman, hit the old subscribe button, whack the old bell, set notifications to all, that way you'll be told next time I upload a video. And without further ado, let's get down and dirty, and let's try and get this old Titan strimmer multi-tool back up and running in next to no time at all. Right, Titan video, here we go. So these Titan machines generally come out of somewhere like Screwfix over here in the UK. They're a relatively cheap tool, they're not an expensive tool at all, but lots of people I know do use them. They're good home user grade only bit of kit. Phillips screwdriver, straight in, and we're going to take off this airbox filter cover, just screw that out. Now 9 times out of 10 this is a fuel delivery issue problem. It's got the air filter there, and then you want to go in with an 8mm. So you better see what sort of tools we're going to be using here. 8mm socket. I'm going to put on a little extension bar just so you guys and girls can see exactly what's going on. And an 8mm here. Loosen that one off. Now all the Titan ranges are pretty much the same, whether you've got the bullhorn strimmer, or whether you've got the D-handle one, the multi-tool, whatever it is you've got, they're all pretty much the same. Now on this one here, it's slightly different where your choke is, it's slightly different. You're going to have a little tiny 8mm nut, okay? Then you're going to have a big flat spaced washer, a bit like what we used to call penny washers. And then a little tiny spring that goes just behind that, okay? So it goes nut, washer, spring, choke mechanism. That's the orientation. Just put that over there, little washer on the other side. Put them over there, that's that done. And then all you got here is your carburetor itself, which will loosen off. There'll be a gasket behind there, which is a heat shield gasket, which will be hanging on to that for dear life. Next what I want to do, I want to remove the fuel lines, okay, and disconnect the throttle. The throttle will be a 8mm and a 10mm. You'll want both, 8 and a 10mm spanner. Put your 8mm on the little collar, 10mm on the nut, and just separate them up. Once they're separated, you can then just twist the throttle assembly housing off, okay? So just keep twisting that. It's a bit fiddly because space is not premium. Get that backed off. And once that's backed off, we can then access the actual throttle itself. And I'll show you how to disconnect the throttle in just 2 seconds. Nearly there. you just physically just can't get in there with your fingers. Not my fingers anyway. Once that's out, that's out. Now you want to remove your throttle, and that's very simply done. Let me just remove it from the perch, and I'll bring you guys over. So down on in, and you'll be able to see, here's your throttle assembly just here, okay? Now all you want to do is twist your throttle assembly up and over, and then just grab that little throttle housing that it's on. There you go, just grab a little tiny throttle piece and just lift that on out. Now I can't do it with one hand and hold the camera at the same time. That's just not going to be physically possible, I don't think. Let me try and get you guys in. So hold the throttle over. Grab your long nose pliers or stubby nose pliers, grab hold of it, pull it out, up and out like so. And there you go, that's how you remove, disconnect your throttle, and then that throttle then will just sneak out of this side here. Just like that. And that'll be your throttle now taken off altogether. So now your carburetor will be loose, but we've still got the fuel lines to remove next. So with the fuel lines, all you want to do is, you see it goes onto a primer bulb here, or purge bulb here, okay? Just follow your lines. So looking at this one here comes up and around and goes onto the furthest part of the purge bulb at the back, okay, or sort of the top one, goes on the top, and then the bottom one goes into the tank and comes back up through into here, okay, so that's what you've got to remember. So this one here comes off and goes into a tank, this one here goes along and onto the top. So take those off. If you want to mark them, you can do, but just remember the orientation of which they come off, in which the orientation they're going to go back on. That's what I'm trying to say to you, okay? So let me just get you repositioned. I'll come back to you and we'll take that off. Right, with a pair of long nose pliers, I'm now going to get in up this top one, which is one that goes on top of a top primer bulb. Now you may have to plug these off because you may get a little bit of petrol come off out the holes. Now you just want to be a bit careful not to try and damage these fuel lines too much, okay? So just go a bit easy with them. If, however, you do damage them, you can just cut a little piece off. Like this one here, this has gone quite hard and brittle, so I may just cut that off just a smidge, just so when I put that back on, we're not going to put a brittle piece of pipe back onto it. So that can be cut off like so. And now the carburetor in its entirety will now come off, and there's our little tiny carb just there. Okay. How easy is that? Now what we're going to be doing on this machine is we're going to be transforming it from a purge bulb at the back, because these carbs are slightly different. We're going to convert this to a priming one on this carb instead. So they are slightly different, okay? No primer bulb on this one because it's at the back here. We're going to convert it over. So that's not too much of a drama for us. So all we want to do is make sure we have a little tiny hole here. If you remove this gasket out the back, all we want to do is just double check that hole off this heat shield lines up. Okay, that's all we want to do. So it goes on that way. That's going to go on to there like so. And just make sure that when you put those holes on, like so, that little tiny hole just there is lining up in correspondence to that there. That's all you have to do. Okay, how easy is that? No problem. So that can go back onto there. We're happy with that now. Put that back on, out the way. And all I'm then going to do, I'm now going to remove this purging bulb. That can come out just by pushing the two tabs in and then push it out, like so. Take that off. We're going to cut that off of there. Take that off. We're going to take that one off as well. You can then keep this, so that's good. Just take the fuel out of it. Okay, get rid of that. Don't need that no more. So now we're going to have two fuel lines. All we have to do is figure out which one has a fuel filter on the end of it and which is your return. Let's have a quick little look. The filter one is that one there nearest. So our return is there, and that's going to be our filter one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump this fuel out, because that fuel just looks to be a little bit rich to me. It's a little bit on the rich side. Not overly happy with it, so we're going to remove that out. Let me get a container. I'll come back to you in 2 seconds. Right, so let's have this fuel out. It looks to be a little bit dark. It has got plenty of oil in it. It may just have a little tiny bit too much oil, maybe. It does look a little bit rich in comparison to how I would normally mix mine up. It looks a little bit rich, guys, just a little bit. So I'm going to get a pair of forceps. And all we're now going to do is going to remove the fuel filter pipe out, because I don't think it's long enough to reach for carby and sit. Oh no, it might be. Let's have a little look. It might be. So I want that fuel filter to be at the bottom. Now I'm going to take that out because I can feel the fuel hose is actually deteriorated over time. And what's happening, I think that'll be sucking too much air in, because it's sort of gone narrow just here. I can feel it where it's gone hard. So that can come out. I'm going to grab my two-stroke box, of which I don't know where it is. It should be under here somewhere. Here it is. So here's my two-stroke box full of two-stroke goodness. I just want to grab myself a bit of fuel line, one that's going to fit onto the feed, which is going to be this one here, onto the feed, but more importantly, one that's actually going to go into the hole and be thick enough so that it won't suck any air in. So I'm going to put a little tiny point on the end of that pipe. I'm going to push that into the hole. Yeah, it's quite a good fit, that is. We'll have that. We'll have that. Yeah, we like that a lot. So that's gone in. We're pushing that all the way through. I'm going to grab it with my forceps. Grab that, pull that all the way through, and we're going to put a new fuel filter on the end of that. There's primer bulb, purge bulbs. And there's one. We'll cut that off so that's nice and level. I'm just going to first push one of these onto here. You might get a pair of stubby nose pliers just do that, just to hold it in place. A bit of hot water might also help as well, but because it is quite cold in the old shed today, but it should go. There you go, it's gone. Push, push, push. Right, that's gone on lovely. We can now pull that pipe back up through, and then just before it takes it all, just push the filter in. Get your screwdriver or your forceps and just push that filter all the way down into the tank so it sits right down the bottom and it's nice and tidy. This one here is only your return, so therefore this one doesn't need to sit up any at all, okay? So happy with the fuel lines. I'm just going to offer the new carburetor on to where it's going to go. It's going to go about there, and we can see the fuel line has got to come up to there, so we'll make a snip onto that, about there, and that's the fuel lines now done. Now all we've got to do is hook up our fuel lines onto said carburetor. So we're going to push that one onto there, taking our time not to damage it any way, shape or form. Nearly there, a bit more space. Push, 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 push. Happy with that. I'm then going to snip the return one also. And we're going to get rid of that bad bit that it had before. I'm going to get rid of that. And then we're going to push that one up onto the return, which is going to go. Sorry if you can't see that, guys. I'm trying to do this at the same time as getting you guys to watch. Get that to go on. That should be it. So now, carburetor now fitted, all I've now got to do is take off this little 10mm, which is one we took off earlier on the old one. Take that off, because we don't need that no more. Unwind that. Bring the the throttle cable round, which is now stuck just behind there. there you come, lovely. And all we want to do is just hook this throttle cable up on and onto the same way in which it came before. So slide him in and just do this little tiny 10 up, and then just get your cable and hook that on through. Once this goes on to here, we'll be laughing. Let's get a bit more cable up in. It's just a bit fiddly, guys. It's just a bit fiddly. Just want a bit more cable, just to give me a slack. But you can see what I'm doing. So get that bit on. Once it takes it, you'll be laughing. And then we'll hook the cable. So let me get that bit in there first, so it'll be all day. Once that bit's on, I'll come back to you. Right, what I had to do was remove the fuel lines back off the machine again, okay, take the carb off, and then put this piece on, and then put the fuel lines back on once it's fitted, because on the old carburetor, which went that way around like so, this little tiny arm here is around on the right hand side furthest, and then on this carburetor it's nearest, so that is just around the wrong way, but it's not life or death. So now what we can do, I'll put that fuel cap back on. I don't want to introduce no dirty particles into my fuel tank. So now my fuel lines are back on, I can now hook up my throttle by pushing the throttle all the way forward, and then just push the little tiny throttle cable into its hole, which would be about there. Let that go. There you go, it's now in. So when I now hit the throttle, you can see it's up against the stop as well here. So now you hit the throttle, look, and boom. There you go. We have a bit of throttlage going on. Now the advantage to this is I can also tune this carburetor at the back as well. As I say, this carburetor has got that tuning ability, just here, a little Pac-Man gauge one. I will keep that because a good little carburetor to have if I can get it to run. But I'm guessing a new carburetor would get this little Titan back up and running. So new fuel lines on. I've got a tuner ability at the back here on a little flathead screwdriver, which I can then just gain access via the back here like so to tune if I need to. So that's good. So now we can get our box assembly. Remember what I said to you. You've got a choke mechanism. That all goes on there like that. We want the spring. And we want the big penny washer, or bigger washer. And then you want the smaller washer out of the two. So that's the wrong washer on there, Mickle Mouse. We want the next one up. Let's take that back off, put that back on. Spring. Big washer. And then little washer. And then the little tiny 8 mils. One there. And one on there, and that's what holds all your choke assembly together. And we're going to wind that on gently. So this repair can be done for around about, I've seen them as cheap as £6. And I have made this repair before on several machines, changing it from a purging bulb to what I call like a primer bulb, where you have a primer bulb actually on top of the carburetor itself. I have made that conversion before, and they seem to run quite well, so do that one up. The most important thing is making sure that the impulse hole at the back of a carburetor has that hole to go through on the heat shield gasket, because on the new box they gave me, or a new carburetor, so they'd be like for like, right? There's the impulse hole I'm on about. On the new gasket they gave me, look, it don't line up. That hole there is blocked. It don't line up. Okay, so that gasket's actually not worth nothing. So now my choke now works. That's good. And new fuel line on, new fuel filter. That's good. I can now put my airbox back on. And the advantage to this is now you can just prime it underneath the old carby, rather than out the back. Let's just put that on there. That's on there tight. So now you just reach underneath here, look, and here's your prime bulb. Just here, you just Prime it with that. How good is that? What's that fuel smell like? Oh, it smells not very good. It smells very good fuel, as in the quality, but that smells. If you look at the colour difference between that one, okay, I'm going to mix my own up now, okay, and I use a still. I use the still oil as well, but that to me that just smells very oily. I'm going to put that into my petrol that I use just for cleaning, and I'm very quickly going to knock up my own. Now I've got this little container here, which has got a tiny mark on it, up to the 500 ml mark. So I only ever mix up what fuel I need. So I'm going to mix up 500 ml of E5. And anyone know how much oil I'm going to put into here to make it? These run at 40 to 1. We're going to put 12.5 ml of oil into 500 ml of water, of petrol, right? So I've got one of these. These are what you get if your kid's sick, right? You use your Calpol paracetamol stuff, and they're good little syringes, because there's 5 straight in. There's 10 straight in, and then 2. That goes 2.5, so I'm going just under the 2. So that's 1, that's 2. 2.5 is going to be about there. Boom, that goes in there. So now I know that's got 40 to 1 fuel mix ratio in there, right? Now the difference between what his fuel looked like and what my fuel looked like. Get a good mix up. My fuel, I believe, looks to be a little bit lighter in colour. And I know that that's absolutely bang on the mark, okay? So now we're going to undo that, and I'm going to use my brand spanking new funnel that my friend Dougie Boy gave me. We're going to pour that in. Because it's got a filter on it. Cheers, Doug. My mate Doug bought me a brand new filter, a brand new funnel with a filter on it. That's lush. We like that. We're going to do the cap up, and just want to now prime this carb up so we get any fuel come through here. There you go, fuel coming through. Super job. Let's now get you guys moved over. Now what I would normally do is take you outside, but it's not very nice at the moment outside. And what I don't want to do is make out to you guys that I've rigged a video. You'll be surprised how many people say, oh yeah, editing videos, rah, 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 right? So I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to spin you around here. Right, spin you around. Let's have you up here. You can see what's going on. Push up in here, mate. Up in here. That's it, lovely job. Right, let's settle you down. Settle down, you lot. Where are you? In there somewhere. Right, okay. Right, in there like that. Where's my lights? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and fire this little bit of kit up right now in front of you, because you'll be surprised how many people say, oh yeah, it's amazing how your machines, they all run as if by magic. You're right. Well, they don't. Let's open my door up, a bit of fresh air in here, and we're going to fire it up. So it's been primed. Now this machine would only run on choke beforehand, remember that. Turn it on, that's on. Video's not been edited. On choke. Half choke. Half choke again. Editing my arse. So there you go. That's how you do your Titan, changing it from a little tiny carburetor like that, which comes with them, to a £9 carburetor, which you can find anywhere on Amazon. Just punch in Titan 11mm carburetor. Have a look at it, make sure it looks very, very similar. And you can change yours from a purging carburetor to what we call a priming carburetor. And it will run just as good. And it's less fuel lines, because on the purging one you have 3 lines. On one like this, on a priming one, you have 2. So it's less fuel lines to worry about, and they run just as good. Maybe a little tiny bit of throttle work will be required to get the machine to idle, which this one I believe does need. Running a little bit quick, but I'll take it outside and we'll run it right up. But there you go. That is how you put a £9 carburetor onto your Titan trimmer to get it running again for next season. And the main reason why these carburetors fail is because people leave the old fuel, the 2-stroke fuel, in them over the winter months, and that is the main problem. And the diaphragms go hard and sticky and all the rest of it, and I don't like it. So there you go, quick little video, and no editing involved. Not to say Micks Mowers just, you know, sort of bodges it and what have you. That's it, exactly as you saw on the tin. The machine runs and starts as it should do. Bish, bash, bosh. Simple. If I saw a video of Micks Mowers and Merman on how to get your Titan trimmer up and running for about £9 in about half an hour's time, then hit the old subscribe button, whack the old bell, set notifications to all. That way you'll be told next time I upload a video. And I look forward to the episode of Micks Mowers very, very soon. But until then, guys and girls, much more importantly, take her easy.